Well, that's a wrap on Andor. In spite of the problems, I enjoyed the show for the most part, and I respected its intelligence. But of course, the chief flaw among it is this Star Wars? Well, not really. And of course, I already went through my thesis that if Star Wars are in a better place, this might have been more welcomed. But you would still have people like, well, you know, it's not as adventurous. I would argue it is, but just not in the way that Star Wars is. Star Wars is about myth and heroes and everything. You could extrapolate that from a story like this, but it's very much in line with, you know, Cold War stories and World War II, behind enemy lines type things, and spies and whatnot, and which is all performed and done very well. But for people looking for excitement and adventure of Star Wars, this was not going to deliver that, certainly not on the surface and all that. So how did it end in this first season? Well, in the only way that it could, kind of sort of quietly, and then there's a big eruption and fight and everything, and then it ends. But it ends on a very credible point, and that's the whole point of the story, is how does Andor join the rebellion? And in a lot of ways, he was already in it before he realized it, of course. But the main thing about him is that this was a guy that someone like Luthen was impressed with, even though Luthen is bound and determined to kill him. I don't think it's much of a spoiler that he does not kill him. You saw Rogue One, I guess, so you know he's not dead. But it's just the roundabout way this goes, and how dangerous and on the edge these people are. And so it's not a bad ending. It's just not a Star Wars ending, so to speak. But obviously, I think it should have been shorter. I think they could have shaved off a couple of episodes, and still could have captured that dark drama that they achieved with it. I'm sure would have helped them to attract viewers. I mean, it's just Star Wars fandom is not in a mood for anything after going through Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, and then before that, the nastiness over Gina Carano at the end of the triumph of Mandalorian Season 2, and then to immediately torch that down, just the insanity of Lucasfilm these days. All of that. So even a more streamlined and tightened plot with a little more action to it probably wouldn't be enough based on the situation where they are. But so not a lot of surprises per se after following this, other than I didn't quite see what appears to be the beginning of an unlikely romance. I mean, you know, you see a man and a woman face to face like that for longer than a few seconds. It's like, well, are they thinking about it? So yeah, maybe that's the deal. So I didn't know if they would do something that would pass as if they didn't do another season, that it would have some sort of resolution. No, it doesn't. You have to do another season as to where this is. Well, it was announced, but these days, who the hell knows what's going on and everything, obviously, with the fall of Chapek, you know, and rumors abound about where that's going to lead and all that. So that's for another video. But boy, things got excited when Darth Vader showed up now. And how would he show up in a story like this? You know, it would be interesting. I'm not sure how it would go about crafting something like that, because he's so, you know, fantastic a character. But, you know, they're in the space world, you know, in cybernetic suits to maintain him as he's been so badly damaged. Yeah, I guess there's a way to weave it in there, but I mean, maybe that'll happen in the next, just a cameo here or there. Who knows? but it needed more aliens. It needed more droids to, pump that up. But again, would it have mattered because of the outside factors beyond the show unto itself? Probably not. So there it was a lot of this business of rebelling and how it goes, and there's a riot that breaks out. And interestingly enough, these stormtroopers can aim, even with explosions and everything. It's that serious, but they give a send off, and the idea of his stepmother dying off screen I thought was a bit odd. She does make an appearance in a hologram form here, and she gives a speech. It's almost a little much, but she did believe in this. She was passionate about it, and she left a message for Cassian when he meets up with his friends, and ultimately finds out what happened to his ex-girlfriend. He saves her. And in a lot of that stuff, he's becoming, a hero worthy of the rebellion, And of course, with his stepmother's death, and that's weighing on him, and her wishes for what she believed in is now become his own. And that's a nice little round out there about what the motivations for what he's been through and what gets him there, from just being this kind of, scavenger criminal guy, whose really only motive was whatever became of his sister. I don't think we'll find out that I'm always forgetting her name, the blonde Imperial a bitch, I don't know. They reveal that your stepmother never told you what became of your sister. She told me she disappeared. No, Andor, I am your sister. No, they're not going to do that. But I suppose at some point they'll revisit that in the next season. The main thing is, when will the smart-ass droid from Rogue One shows up, because they would have had, I think, a more successful series if it had just been mostly that, of this sort of buddy cop thing scenario between the two. That probably would have been a more successful show. Maybe not as intelligent as this one is, but maybe you could do both. You weave it that way, but they didn't, and probably unfortunate, because at that I would actually like to see. He gets his old droid back, but he sends them away to be safe while he confronts Luthen and joins the rebellion at that point in total. So it wraps up the only way it could, as I said. And for me, it's fine, but it's Star Wars is where it is, so I don't think even a great Mandalorian could bring it back at this point. I suppose curiosity for what the Ahsoka show could be, but I'm very dubious that anything of interest there, other than it might be an okay adventure for Ahsoka, and that's about it. And Mandalorian, same thing. Mandalorian will give you more adventure and whatnot, but they basically undid what the second season achieved and all that with little Grogu, and so they're just going to do a redo of everything they've already done. Just with the Mandalorian story, I suppose, being pursued more and all that. The overall, the Mandalorians themselves and who rules Mandalore and all that kind of thing. But other than that, not hopeful for Star Wars at all. It's a dead franchise. It's just got a few little cousins it spawned that might have some cool episodes from time to time. And well, if that floats your boat from every now and then you can check that out. But other than that, it's over for Star Wars, and that's too bad. And you know why, and that's the way it is. But so Andor was an interesting little curiosity. But I guess that's all it could hope to be. It does give, like I said, if there would do a Blake 7, I think it would be more in line with this. You're going to need some more adventure, of course. But that kind of darkness and the backstabbing shenanigans that goes on in bureaucracy and government and all that, that would be tailor-made for it. I never really got. Sometimes the music kind of stepped up, but it was never Star Wars. Of course, that you can say that quite a few of the Mandalorian episodes as well, and even Obi-Wan, which God, boy, what did they drop the ball there? But this, Blade Runner style synthesizer stuff, that's fine for Blade Runner, but it was bad. So that was probably the absolute worst part of the show is the music. Just wasn't on par with the rest of it. So, but yeah, that's about it, And wish I could say, hey, but I can't because Star Wars it's gone.